Welcome back to the Rodecast, guys. Hope you're doing well out there. I'm your host, Rod, as always. And in this video, we're going to be looking at the latest bills that were signed into law by Gavin Newsom in California, where Gavin Newsom had an opportunity to prove his critics, like myself, wrong and show that he cares more about American citizens and our law enforcers than he cares about illegal aliens and their advocates. He had a choice, okay? Him, Karen Bass, and many other people who showed up at this signing of the bills to brag about how they love illegal aliens so much and they want to protect their rights. And that's why they passed this mask ban on ICE and other law enforcers, as well as other a variety of laws that hurt law enforcement in California. Okay. To be clear, this is not going to have any impact on ICE for obvious reasons, which I will explain in this video. But it is going to have some downstream negative impacts on California law enforcers.
One of the laws is a first of its kind. It prohibits federal agents from wearing masks and hiding their identities from the public.
But the federal government already responding tonight, saying the state does not have the power to do this. NBC4's Tracy Leong joining us now. She spoke to a legal expert about what comes next. Tracy.
Yeah, Jonathan. And
the reason it's a one of its kind when it comes to this anti-mask bill for ICE is because nobody has been a bigger panderer to illegals and their advocates than Gavin Newsom, because the law is very clear according to the Constitution and the Federalist Papers and our Supreme Court jurisprudence, which states that federal agencies will be governed by federal authorities in the executive branch. In this case, ICE is governed by the head of ICE and overall by the head of Homeland Security, which is Newsom. When it comes to federal uniforms, state authorities cannot tell federal officers how to dress. That is clearly within the purview of the executive branch. Okay, think about how insane this is, right? Because every state will then come up with their own rules on how ICE agents should operate in their state. Just because that's what would happen if the Supreme Court rules in the state's favor. There are going to be lawsuits, and guess what? Gavin Newsom is going to lose, as well as every other state that tries to tell ICE how to dress. That decision is up to Newsom. It is not up to Gavin Newsom or any of these ridiculous, illegal, alien-loving, foreigner-loving, blue state governors like Gavin Newsom.
And Kathy, the legal expert, tells me that the Department of Justice will most likely challenge these laws in court and predicts lawsuits may be filed against the state of California and the governor within weeks.
Yeah, it's going to be days, not weeks, and they're going to win every single one. I don't think even a federal judge will be dumb enough to rule in favor of Gavin Newsom here, because the law is so clear when it comes to this. The idea that Gavin Newsom can tell ICE agents, federal agents, how to dress is ridiculous. It's never going to happen. Even a federal judge, even a liberal judge, even the Ninth Circuit, which includes California, the appeals courts, they're likely to rule against Gavin Newsom on this because this question is cut and dry. There is no debate on this. The Federalist Papers, which were written by the Founding Fathers, which includes their intent, it's a discussion between three of the Founding Fathers, okay? And they explain how the Constitution should be interpreted, considering English law, considering English history, French. They discuss many European countries and how what we have learned, what they have learned from those countries and what went wrong in Europe. And we learned from those lessons to build America into the perfect version of itself that it can be. This is back in the 1700s, to be clear. But nevertheless, they discussed this, okay? And foreign policy, they gave the power of foreign policy to the president. Immigration is part of foreign policy. Okay, that's why the president, the executive branch, and the Congress are the ones who have power over it. And if Congress is not making any decisions and they have already passed the laws, it's up to the executive branch to interpret and enforce those laws through the Department of Homeland Security. And that's exactly what immigration enforcement is all about. Congress is not passing any more new laws when it comes to immigration. So it's up to the presidency and specifically the Secretary of Homeland Security, Newsom, to interpret the existing laws and to enforce them on the country. And that's exactly what they're doing. That's their job.
Governor Gavin Newsom signed a historic package of bills to challenge President Donald Trump's immigration crackdown, including a ban on masks for federal agents.
Immigrants have rights.
They shouldn't have any because they don't belong here. This is my country, built by my ancestors for me, not for a bunch of randos from across the world. Okay?
And we have the right to stand up and push back. And that's what we're doing.
You can push back all you want, bro. You're going to get pushed down and crushed by the Supreme Court and probably the lower level federal courts too. A federal judge in California is likely to overrule this. At the first lawsuit that's filed by the Justice Department against this, they're going to win because this question is cut and dry.
Here today.
This is in direct response to recent immigration enforcement operations in LA, where federal agents wore masks while detaining people.
The first in the nation saying enough. ICE, unmask. What are you afraid of?
You can say enough all you want. And what are they afraid of? Left-wing terrorists who are going to freaking shoot them like they have done before. They've taken shots at ICE agents. They throw bottles at ICE agents, rocks at ICE agents. They follow ICE agents home because they don't want them to do their job. They are on camera yelling them to quit their jobs. Okay, I've shown videos of that. Okay, these lunatic, left-wing, self-hating white people, white liberals who want open borders, they're screaming out there in the faces of ICE agents telling them to quit their jobs.
They're fucking terrified. Did you not realize what this would be, being fucking Gestapo? Being Nazis? You didn't realize what this would be like? You should quit. Quit now. Quit now, you Nazi fuck. It's gonna be like this every fucking day. We're coming every day. Anytime you try to kidnap people, we are gonna be here.
Okay, they don't want any immigration laws enforced whatsoever. They want the savages, the third world savages, to just stream in here, and we shouldn't do anything about it. Okay, that's the view of people who like Gavin Newsom, think that there should be open borders. Okay, those people are the ones that the ICE agents are covering themselves up from because they're being targeted if they show their face, and their families are being targeted, their homes are being targeted. It's already happened. Stalking has already happened against ICE agents. Assault on ICE agents are up more than 1,000%. So why? Why are they hiding? They're hiding from the lunatics that you are catering to in this very video, you clown.
What are you afraid of?
The other laws that were signed today require federal agents to identify themselves with visible badges, limit immigration enforcement agents from entering schools or health facilities without warrants, and require schools to alert students and families when immigration enforcement agents are on campus.
So there's some nuance to some of those places. Like, for example, as I've explained before, if it's a public place, then the ICE agents can act. If it's a purely private place with no public spaces, then they cannot enter. Like, ICE agents cannot enter without a warrant. They cannot enter a private home. Okay, unless they're invited in, then they can go. If they're not invited in, if the door is closed, they can't just enter. They can't break in. Okay, that's the law right now. That's how the law has been interpreted. So at a school, there are public spaces at a school and then private spaces. For example, they can't just break into the principal's office. That is not considered a public place. Okay, the corridors in a school are public spaces, and therefore ICE can't act there. Same thing with churches or anything else. Okay, these are public places, and therefore they can enter. If they're not public places, if they're purely private places, then immigration enforcement cannot enter without warrants. That is the law right now. Okay, and this doesn't change any. That's a federal law set by federal courts, including the federal appeals courts. And some of those precedents have also been set by the Supreme Court, because immigration cases have gone up to the Supreme Court before. This is not the first time. Okay, a lot of them went up there in the first Trump administration and also the Bush administration. So many of these things have already been litigated, and it's very clear where the law stands. These state laws are not going to prevent ICE agents from doing any of this stuff. Whatever the federal law is right now, the federal Supreme Court precedents and the federal appeals courts precedents, that's what govern the actions of federal police officers. The Justice Department and all the other federal agencies have to apply those precedents and take it account into their policies when they set policy for their agency. That's how the law has control over the executive branch. The judiciary does have power over the executive branch, not over everything. Immigration is left up to the executive branch and Congress, but on some specific constitutional issues like searches and seizures, Fourth Amendment issues, the courts do get to decide some things, and they've already decided. Okay, everything that they're trying to ban here, it's already litigated at the highest level.
All of this legislative resistance is to protect Angelenos from our own federal government. That is profound, because this reflects a moment in history that we will all remember.
They're not Angelenos. They're illegal aliens who've invaded our country who don't belong here. Okay, that's first of all. And yes, we will remember this day. We will remember this day when you and Gavin Newsom and all the other losers who care more about illegal foreigners than your own citizens stood up for them against our own law enforcement. Okay, so yes, we will remember this, Karen Bass. You are a traitor to your own people in California. You care more about all these Latin American immigrants who are invading our country, these illegals, you care more about them than the citizens of California. Thank you for saying that. Get ready to lose your next election.
I think the exception that you took to the bill that was signed into law deals with law enforcement officers wearing face coverings. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, they signed a bill purporting to outlaw face masks for law enforcement officers, except for CHP, which happens to be the police force that protects the governor.
Let me ask you this. So will this new law significantly interfere with law enforcement agents and their ability to do their jobs? And if so, how?
No, because we're not going to follow it. The law has no force or effect on federal agencies. The state of California has no jurisdiction to regulate anything that we do in the federal government, and I've instructed our agents to disregard it. So we will continue doing our operations as we have been doing them. The reason the officers wear face masks is because you have radical people, left-wing extremists who are trying to dox and intimidate and harass and follow and stalk our agents to keep them from doing their job, which is immigration enforcement.
So as you guys heard there, these laws are not going to have any impact on federal law enforcement, but it will have a negative impact on local law enforcement, because some of the amendments that were slipped into some of these bills include reducing the qualified immunity for some local police officers when it comes to certain incidents where complaints are filed against them. The state is making it possible for more lawsuits to be filed against certain claims of, for example, police brutality claims that are made against local police officers. There's more of a chance to file lawsuits against regular police officers on the street by lunatics who are anti-police. So that was one of those provisions that are put in there by the anti-police, the defund the police lobby. Okay, all of that stuff now passed into law because Gavin Newsom wants to pander to the illegals and the Mexicans and everybody else, all the Latinos here who are standing behind him, he wants to make it seem like he's doing something against ICE. Okay, in reality, what he's doing is making police officers in California, making their job harder for them and making it possible for them to get sued more. He hasn't done anything against ICE. All the ICE raids are going to keep ramping up. He hasn't done anything to stop ICE. But in the guise of stopping ICE, he's taken rights away and made the jobs of local police harder. That's the only thing that's happened here. Okay, that's the only thing that's happened, because ICE is not going to listen to anything you have to say. This is all just pandering to the illegals and their supporters, all the NGOs and all the activists who are, in favor of the whole third world invading our country. And Gavin Newsom's like, oh, yeah, I'm totally on your side. I hate myself. As a white man, I hate myself. And I'm proving my hatred for myself and my family by letting the third world invade my country. Aren't I so great? Okay, that's the message that Gavin Newsom was sending at that press conference. And he said, immigrants
have rights.
The ICE is arresting illegals. Okay, now I want all of the immigrants gone, but that's just me. Most Americans support immigrants. They just don't like illegal aliens who invade our country without any regard for our laws. Those are the people that ICE is deporting right now. Okay, so not immigrants. You notice the words that they use. They are so quick to try to equate illegal and legal immigrants. Try to pretend like it's the same thing. I don't want either here, but according to the law, legal immigrants they can be here. Okay. Illegals cannot be here because they're violating our immigration laws. But the left wants to equate both of those things and pretend, no, they're just all immigrants. They just want a better life, so it's okay for them to break our laws because our borders mean nothing. Okay? Our borders mean nothing and America means nothing. It's just a melting pot and everybody can come here. No, everybody can't come here. And the foundational people of this country are not okay with that. That's why we hate people like Gavin Newsom. Because he has no pride in himself and his ancestors were immigrants. He's not a foundational American. He's Scottish and Irish. Okay. His ancestors came here in the 1900s. He's a loser. He's not a foundational American. That's why he doesn't value America. His ancestors are immigrants. Okay. They didn't build this country. They weren't settlers. So he has no appreciation for something that other people's ancestors built. Okay. So that's why all these people want the whole world to come here, because they don't value America. They don't value George Washington. This country means nothing to them. They don't understand what this country is. Okay, they think it's just a blank space that everybody can fill, and there's no original people. That's how the left and all these open borders people see America. That's why they think it's okay for the whole world to invade our land. It's not okay. Then the people who were born here, the people whose ancestors built this country, we're not okay with that. But Gavin Newsom doesn't understand that. That's why we got to get all these Democrats out. But it's going to be difficult. It's California. So a lot of people here are brainwashed to the core. And it's very sad, but that's the situation we have. But as far as this ICE stuff goes, they're not going to be able to regulate ICE at all. ICE operations are going to continue here. More illegals are going to be dragged screaming out of here. And it's a beautiful thing. And that's all I got to say for this video. Thank you so much for watching as always. And I'll see you guys in my next one.